Listening to your intuition. Not always easy, but definitely has paid off. Oh my gosh, did I forget to turn the light on? Hold on, let's turn on another light here. Okay, there we go. Wow, can't believe I forgot that. Sorry. Um, okay, so intuition. Listening to your intuition. My intuition has been on me to do this for several days, at least a week. So here I am, finally doing it. I Yesterday I didn't do it. Promised myself I would do it today, and I like to keep promises to myself. So here I am. And okay, so what I wanted to share about intuition was one of the things that made me take this seriously was that just within the last few days, several people in my life have shared with me that, okay, so let me back up. Many years ago, I had a really good friend who has since passed away, but he wrote a book called The Theory of Attention, and his name was Ronald Wolferice. And Ron was an expert at synchronicity, and this was something that fascinated me. And this was the basis of our initial friendship. And so, because of what was happening recently this week, I started to wonder if that was what made him curious about me as well. Is that maybe I was showing up as a recurring synchronicity or a mechanism for synchronicity in his life. So, one of the things that happened was I was talking to one of my friends, but we get together maybe once a month, once every couple months or whatever, as our schedule allows. And she shared with me that whenever she's thinking about me and wondering, I wonder what Yvette is up to, I will send her a text telling her what I'm up to. And so, from my perspective, it's always been sort of I was thinking about her and wanting to share with her some new thing or whatever progress I was making. So I thought that was very interesting. And then maybe a day or so later, was talking to my mom. And my mom shared with me that after I was first married, when we were first married, the movie Mississippi Burning had come out. And so that was sort of, we moved to Georgia right after we got married. And so that was like top of mind for her. And whenever she would pray on this, when she was really worried, she would go to her dad, my grandpa, and he would, kind of tell her she had to, get her mind right and not interfere or whatever, and not tell me about how afraid she was for us. And so she shared that when she would pray on this, I would call her and tell her, what was going on and let her know that we were actually doing fine. And so this made me think, oh, hold it. Another one I thought about was my friend, I had a friend, JP, and he shared with me one of the turning points in our friendship was when he shared that twice when he was suicidal, that I had called him and was sharing about how much he had meant to me and that shifted his thinking and his state and made him change his mind about that. So I thought maybe there's a reason that I'm being urged to do this now, that maybe there's somebody that needs to hear this that I don't know yet. So I'm doing it. And one of the reasons that it felt significant was because of my understanding, my experience with intuition. And that's just a handful. I could spend probably a good hour telling these kinds of stories of things like that have happened to me. And so I believe that the intuition helps guide our ego. And it's one of the ways that the heart, or I mean, the spirit or the soul can communicate and help, or actually help lead the ego. So I believe that the spirit is the heart, how the heart speaks. I mean, the heart speaks for the spirit, and that our will is what guides or leads and speaks, asserts the will of our soul. And I think that our intuition is how our spirit and our soul lead our ego. And then that way, our ego can be in service of our real purpose as opposed to like me showing up and, I don't know, wanting to be like a celebrity or something. And I will also share that other other than just personal fear, right, around being vulnerable, sitting here talking and, not knowing who I'm talking to, but also, my personal, whatever personal insecurities I'm going through, and I've been dealing with a breakout, and normally that would be a thing that I would hide. I would hide away until I've recovered. And so I have not done that this time because it was a pretty intense breakout that lasted a long time. And I had things that my playbook was coming out, my success buffet pyramid playbook was coming out. I had a brunch that I sponsored in Carlsbad, so I wasn't going to not show up for that because I was having a break. I mean, I could have very well. And there's a time in my life when that likely could very well have happened, and I would have thought it was totally legitimate. But at this point in my life, that did not feel like a reasonable option for me. And so I went and I did it, and it went well. So I think that the pushing through our personal insecurities to show up for ourselves and to show up to walk in our purpose is that's the ego doing its work. I think that when we allow the spirit and the soul to lead the ego, we can fulfill our purpose and not be as easily derailed. So that was one of the things that led me here. And I was thinking about how this was also connected to the Sovereignty Shift series of podcasts I've been doing about the impact on US businesses as because of recent policy and global reaction, international reaction to those policies. And nobody really preparing American businesses for that reality and the adjustments that they need to be making, the things that they need to be understanding. And some of these issues are things that it's just coming to a head. These aren't new issues. Many of them are things that I've been talking or writing about for about 20 years. But the difference here is the the fact that nobody else is really talking. I don't see the news is not really talking about this in the way that you would think that they would, considering the obvious impact. And so there's a story that I've shared in another video where I talk about a sales company that was basically spinning its wheels, addressing the wrong problem. There was somebody in the company who understood what the issue was, but chose not to share that information. And essentially, it boiled down to a form of quiet protest. And so there are similar things happening now where I think businesses are and CEOs are addressing the wrong problems. They're still wanting to think this is a marketing or sales problem, and they're putting that pressure on sales and marketing departments to fix it when this is not a thing that they can fix. And until there is recognition of what the actual issues are, how much money is going to be spent addressing the wrong problems, how many businesses are even going to be able to survive. It's interesting that I don't hear anybody talk about the deficit anymore. I think it's like over $3 trillion. Anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. My point is, will there be money for a bailout? And if the American people aren't getting a bailout, how upset will the American people be if there's a bailout for businesses after this? So that's something to be thinking about. And so the sovereignty shift is just basically a series for people who are in that squeeze position, who are, and maybe whereas the people at the very top may not have the perspective or the same inclination to see the facts clearly for a host of reasons. One of them, I suspect, is related to the fact that just the data says, I think like 51% of business owners or small business owners voted for this administration. So there's just a sort of logical deduction there that it's going to be harder for those individuals to face that their situation, the situations that they're dealing with, is something that they voted for, that they helped create. And if they've been voting for these kinds of policies for years or decades, then that's even more so, and may create cognitive dissonance and may require some kind of like ego death for them to be able to like move forward. I don't know. But the people who are feeling the pressure, who are working with them, maybe and positions beneath them, are feeling that pressure because they're the ones getting yelled at to fix it, being told to fix it. So I feel like those people, maybe people in those positions, those directors. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the positions would be, but when the time comes that people are looking for the information, I would like for them to be able to find it, even if it's after I've moved on. So I'll be creating a digital archive that will be accessible by membership with those resources that will include the videos, my videos analyzing breaking these issues down, referring them back to specific infrastructure issues, because I part of what has to happen to address this is um, a bit more proficiency in infrastructure literacy. And for anybody who thinks doesn't know what I'm talking about there, think of 5 things that you've done today, and then make a list of 5 things that you've done today in one column, and then on the other side, on the other in another column next to it, make a list of the systems that enabled you to do those 5 things, the infrastructural systems that allowed you to do those 5 things. And then I want you to write, or just maybe even just think about, or you know what, do a comment and tell me, what do you know about those 5 systems that you found that made your life livable today? Those 5 things you were able to do, living your life, what systems enabled that? And then how much do you know about those systems? So let's just start there. And I would say that's the same challenge to businesses. So look at 3 to 5 key business operations in your business, and then look at the systems that are basically make that possible, and then look at what do you know about those systems, how engaged are you with those systems. Okay, so that's a place to start. So that's one of the what's next. The other what's next is I've been sharing a little bit of my conversations with my friend Beverly. We talk a lot about the sovereignty shift. You've seen some clips from my friend and my partner, business partner, Aurora, of Lost Coast Getaways. And you've seen a few clips from my friend Shu. So there's going to be more of that. And we're going to be delving more into something I'm calling productive friendships. And for other people who are in a phase of life where they're in like a community transition, the, the way we've been talking about it has been when you outgrow your friend group. You can use different language, but essentially that's what happens. You're growing in ways that are creating distance between you and the friend group that you've been in, and the what's next, and navigating that transition. So we've been talking a lot about that and how we are doing it and how we are supporting each other in that. And that's been really great, and what productive friendship looks like amongst us. So we'll be sharing more of that with you. And I think the big, oh gosh, I can't believe I did this, because you know what? It's because I had to redo the video. I recorded this before and didn't have any sound. And when I went to re-record it, jumped right into this content, I forgot, oh my gosh, the main reason that inspired me to do this, which was thank you to the new subscribers. I've had 23 subscribers for a long time because I wasn't really active with my channel. And within just the last week or two, it's jumped to 145. So I wanted to say thank you so much to the new subscribers. You actually encouraged me to do this. You have encouraged me to, get catch up on my video editing and get the videos out, get them done, because I also want to share this information with you. And I would like to learn more about what you want to hear from me and what is resonating in my videos. What is it that you're liking about them? What do you want more of? And I would like to see how I can meet you there. And on my Substack, I will be sharing more about my work, my process, the new work that I'm doing, how designing resilience relates to my social artist practice, and how I'm going to be leaning more into that. What else is going on? I wanted to make this a catch-up video. Oh, I'm making some We have. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to update you on designing resilience. Wonderful progress happening there. I have some partners that I've brought on, so you'll get to meet them soon, and you'll be hearing about a very, very exciting pivot, let's say, that I've made with the Designing Resilience project, looking at it being sustainable. I'm really excited about this. And we're looking to have the Designing Resilience Roundtable actually kick off spring of 2027 in San Diego, California. So stay tuned for more info on that. I'm working with Lost Coast Getaway to bring that to life. So very excited. My Design and Resilience project, by the way, is an initiative to engage, to work with young people who are aging out of foster care and survivors of trafficking to be a part of building the sustainable fashion ecosystem and creating new career pathways and trajectories, new technology, new solutions um, to basically create a model to be able to scale at a regional level so that we can create regional sustainable fashion hubs. That's the vision. So stay tuned for that. And we're going to be doing more with this friendship thing because I know one way of talking about that is like building your tribe, finding your tribe. But I think that because tribal mentalities have been so problematic recently, that it serves us to be more intentional and to think a little bit, be a little bit more intentional about how we're going to describe the community that's growing around this work and finding our courage together. And I hope that that becomes something that this can be a part of, is you finding your personal courage to do the work that you're here to do, whatever that looks like where you are. And knowing that you're not doing that alone and that there are resources to help you. And I intend to share some of those based on what has worked for me and what has worked for me in the people that I have worked with. So if any of that speaks to you, subscribe and leave a like, comment, and let me know what's on your mind. And I hope you're having a beautiful day. And I want to encourage you to find one thing that you can do to move your story forward in a way that you feel good about and that's going to uplift and inspire others. Because we want to promote and advance success that lifts all boats because it's possible. We can do this together, and that's what I'm all about. And I want to find other people who share that dream, that passion, not even a dream, that commitment, that intention, that commitment and that intention. That's what I'm looking for. It's we're beyond dreaming about it. I want to connect with the people who are doing it and want to start doing it. And it doesn't have to be a big overhaul of your whole life. You start where you are. Okay, till next time.